Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another live stream. It is the instant match reaction. Everton 0, Aston Villa 2 at Goodison Park. Sean Dyche's first defeat as the Everton manager at Goodison Park in a game that, let's be honest, we all saw coming, didn't we? And I don't necessarily mean that in the sense of our recent performances suggested that this type of performance was coming, but what I meant is we've sat down, a couple of times over the last couple of weeks and spoke about two really, really important wins for Everton, obviously being the game against Arsenal and the game against Leeds United. But one common sort of problem within those games that I've specifically, mentioned over the last couple of weeks is that each one of those games ended 1-0 and was a really good performance and a decent result. But, we've sat here twice and spoken about two games of football that could have easily ended 3 or 4-0 had Everton had been, even just a little bit competent in front of goal, even just had a little bit of ability to create an opportunity or to take an opportunity when it presents itself. And, I sat here last week and I remember talking about the Leeds performance and, I didn't want to sound negative, but I remember saying we can't just simply look over these opportunities that we're getting and that we're not taking because, not every week will we score a worldie from an uncomfortable position like we did against Leeds, and not every week will we score a header from a corner because those types of goals don't come every week. So I thought it was important to focus on Abdoulaye Doucouré's missed chances in both of those games, or Dwight McNeil's missed opportunities, or Neil Maupay's missed opportunities, or Dominic Calvert-Lewin's, because there was always going to come a time when we played a game of football and we didn't score from a corner, or we didn't score from a fluky angle that you probably will never see again, and we will rely on the other opportunities that we create in that game and taking those opportunities. We didn't take them against Leeds. We got away with it because, fortunately for us, Seamus Coleman scored a brilliant goal and Leeds were absolutely abysmal. We got away with it against Arsenal. We defended really well. And as I said, James Tarkowski scored a good goal from a corner. We didn't get away with it today. We missed chances, and don't get me wrong, I don't think we had any clear-cut opportunities, and that's another massive issue, is that we have nobody at the football club at the moment that is capable of creating a chance and or taking a chance when it's created. But I think we had moments where there were chances to create opportunities and we just didn't take them. Moments like Dwight McNeil having a really good ball played over the top to him and he takes it down, and because the kid's absolutely petrified to even touch a football with his right foot, he keeps it on his left foot. He wastes the chance. He gives it to Maupay, and Maupay's, a tame shot in towards the goalkeeper's palms. Or Abdoulaye Doucouré, again, third week on the bounce, where he's got the ball in the edge, in the 6-yard box with a chance to either put it across the box or have a go at goal, and he doesn't. He falls over his own feet again like a giraffe. These are opportunities that you cannot afford to just squander when you've got no out-and-out goal scorer in the team. You cannot afford to miss these chances. You cannot afford to have the ball in and around the 6-yard box and not take a shot at goal. It's absolutely sickening that any of those Everton players, whether it be the forward line, whether it be the midfield, whether it be the back line, any of them think it's acceptable to have the ball in and around that 6-yard box and not take a shot at goal when we're so bad up front. We're so bad up top. We've got nobody. Neil Maupay ran around today. He had a go. He worked a bit hard, but he's absolutely useless in front of goal. Dwight McNeil, couple of good balls into the box in the first half. Couple of good bits of movement with his feet to get himself out of a situation. But in front of goal, he's absolutely useless. And this is our problem, and this is why I really, really fear about Everton going forward, is because other than the odd goal from a corner or the odd absolute worldie, i.e. Demarai Gray's against, Manchester City or Seamus Coleman's last week, other than them types of goals, where are we just scoring goals that you look at and you go, that was just a really good, well-worked goal, that good bit of movement, nice little ball, and this player's finished it well? We don't seem to score goals like that. We're only scoring from set pieces, or as I said, from opportunities that come a few and far between. And that for me is the biggest worry. And I said last week, there will come a time when we play a team and we don't get a goal from a corner, or we don't score from 25, 30 yards because there's actually in fact, I said last week, we won't score a goal like we did against Leeds next week, because Emi Martinez is at least the competent goalkeeper, whereas Leeds United goalkeeper is woeful. So we won't score that goal. So the other opportunities we create in that game, meaning this game today, we will need to take, and we didn't. And don't get me wrong, we didn't create an awful lot, but there were 2 or 3 moments that, had we have had a little bit more quality or a little bit more composure up front, we could have taken, and we could have gone in at half-time 1 or 2-0 up. And I thought Aston Villa were really, really poor in the first half. I thought Everton were the team on top. I thought Everton were the team that, you know, were battling, were fighting for everything, we're getting the ball in the right areas, we're looking promising, we're working hard. Aston Villa had very, very little. And they've won the game on very little. They've won the game on a penalty, which was down to another individual mistake by Idrissa Gana Gueye, by the way. What's that? 3, 4, 5 individual mistakes that have led to goals that he's made so far this season. He's been really, really poor for me since his return. He's had a couple of games where he's impressed, but generally he's been poor. And a counter-attack. But what is more worrying is it's very, very clear that Sean Dyche's game plan at the moment, or Sean Dyche's general sort of plan at the moment, is to keep things tight and to win games 1-0. And I'm not blaming Sean Dyche for that. I'm not having a go at Sean Dyche for that. And I'm not saying that's wrong, because Sean Dyche is being hung out to dry by the absolute cowards, clowns, and absolute wastes of space that run this football club. Not only did they fail to replace our top goal scorer last season in the summer, but they failed to replace him again in January, when we've known the situation that we were in. And Sean Dyche has come in, and he's got no other option for me other than to try and sit back and win a game 1-0 thanks to a goal from a corner, or an opportunity that presents itself. So I have no issue with Sean Dyche. I really, really don't have an issue with Sean Dyche. But you could see today, the minute we went 1-0 down, again, through a ridiculous decision by Idrissa Gana Gueye to make the tackle, especially in a game like that when the referee was very, very clearly against us from minute 1. And I'm not going to sit here and blame the referee for Everton losing this game, because it's clear why we lost the game. We made a couple of mistakes and we're absolutely toothless up front. I don't particularly think we played badly. I don't particularly think we were out of control of the game. I thought we controlled the game, to be honest with you, from pretty much the first minute. But we've got nothing up front. We made mistakes again, but the referee all game was an embarrassment. An absolute, how that fella looks himself in the mirror and thinks, I'm good at my job, is beyond me. He's a waste of oxygen. He's an absolute embarrassment, Anthony Taylor. So we knew from the first minute that everything that could have gone Aston Villa's way was going to go Aston Villa's way today. Everything. From the moment, 2 minutes into the game, that he booked Amadou Onana for a challenge he never seen. We knew that. So why Idrissa Gana Gueye deems it, sensible, or thinks it's a sensible decision to slide in the box, knowing full well that if he doesn't get something on that ball cleanly, it's going to be a penalty, is beyond me. Absolutely beyond me. And the minute they scored that penalty, the minute that they went 1-0 up, you could physically see the heads drop. In amongst those Everton players, you could physically see it was almost like, well, shit, the game plan was for us to win 1-0 and to get a goal and to keep it tight. And we've gone 1-0 down now. So in order to win this game, we've got to score twice. And let's be honest with ourselves, I just don't think we will see another game this season where Everton score twice. I really, really, really don't. I'm not saying we won't win another game this season. I'm not saying that we won't stay up. But I just don't expect to see a game this season where Everton score 2 goals. Because where the 2 goals come from? Where does a goal come from at the moment? Demarai Gray come on and done nothing. And I'm not blaming Demarai Gray. And I'm not saying it's his fault or he should be expected to come on and change the game. But he come on and he offered nothing. Mowbray runs round, but in front of goal, he's useless. Dwight McNeil in front of goal is useless. Ellis Sims is nowhere near good enough in front of goal. Whether we want to believe it or not, he isn't. It's as simple as that. Alex Iwobi isn't offering anything in front of goal. None of the midfield offer anything in front of goal. Abdoulaye Doucouré is useless in front of goal. So, other than set pieces and the odd worldie, what come every blue moon, where are our goals coming from? And for me, I'm not particularly angry today. I'm not particularly upset because I'm not surprised. I seen this coming. I said after Leeds, Villa are a competent team. I don't particularly think Villa are a great team. In fact, I don't even think they're a particularly good team. I just think they're a competent, alright, average Premier League side. And alright, average Premier League sides will not make the mistakes that a team like Leeds United did last week, for example. And alright, average Premier League sides will make it difficult. And ultimately, as I said last week, we simply cannot afford to not take these chances. We simply cannot afford to, why am I watching players like Dwight McNeil or Abdoulaye Doucouré or Neil Maupay try and have 500 touches in the box when they've got the ball at their feet? Why are players not shooting? I said it last week. After Leeds, I'd have had every one of them. And I'm not just saying this because we've lost today. By the way, you can go back and watch the instant match reaction or the review after the Leeds game. I said it. I would have every single one of them players in Finch Farm after training every single day. I'd have every single one of them in for an hour to practice their shooting at goal. Because they're petrified. They're petrified to have a shot at goal. Dwight McNeil, every time the ball comes to him in and around the area, he shits himself. He absolutely shits himself. And he worked hard today and he ran around and he had a good first half. But it's not enough. It's simply not enough. Richarlison scores an hat-trick today comfortably. Richarlison would have scored about 10 last week against Leeds. And it's not a case of, why are you bringing him up? He's not here anymore. We allowed a player who was confident in front of goal, who would have a goal, who was capable of scoring goals, who was capable of winning games to leave, and we replaced them with two players who simply do not want to know when the ball falls at their feet in and around the area. They don't want to know. And if you barely survive relegation, and finish 16th and only manage to stay up on the skin of your teeth, thanks to a comeback win on the penultimate day of the season. Everton survived relegation by 4 points in the end last season. 39 points. We had 3 of those points have come, course, from that Palace game. So without that Palace game, we'd have survived by 1 point. 1 point. Now, you then allow your top goal scorer in that season, a player who, without him, we wouldn't have gotten a point. We wouldn't have beaten Crystal Palace. Without him, we wouldn't have beaten Chelsea at home that season. Without him, we wouldn't have beaten various teams that we beat. You allow him to leave. What do you expect when you then do not replace him? We finished 16th with him. You allow him to leave and don't replace him. What do we expect? And Sean Dyche has got an unbelievably difficult task on his hands. And don't get me wrong, I think he's the right manager, and I think he's the man. I think out of all of the options, he's the one that's most likely to keep us up. But I can't even put into words how difficult this is for the manager. We don't have anybody that can score goals. Anybody. Our forward line are an embarrassment. An embarrassment. We've got wingers that get the ball on the edge of the box and don't have a go. We've got wingers that have the ball inside the 6-yard box, and instead of, Dwight McNeil, when that ball falls to Dwight McNeil in the box, the one I'm talking about, it's an over-the-top ball, it falls to him, he takes it down, and he ends up passing it to Maupay, and Maupay takes the tamest shot in the world into Emi Martinez's hands. If you are a winger, or a striker, or a forward of any form, and the ball falls to you, in and around that 6-yard box, and you've got a bit of time, there shouldn't be anything else on your mind other than having a shot at goal. Nothing. There shouldn't be anything else on your mind other than, I'm having a go at goal here. I'm gonna make, I'm gonna have a go. And okay, it mightn't go in. The goalkeeper might save it, or it might be a shit shot, or it might fly over the bar, but at least you've had a go. Because on another day, it might go in, the goalkeeper mightn't save it, or it might deflect off somebody, or it might, it might wrong foot the goalkeeper. Football is a very, very, very basic sport, and I don't want to sound like Michael Owen here, but if you do not shoot, you will not score, and it's simple. Everton don't shoot. It's as simple as that. And if we're not scoring from a corner, or, a fluky worldie that you'll never see again, we're not scoring. And you can't expect to survive and stay in the Premier League when that's the case. You simply can't. And it was so visible today. And it was visible against Leeds, by the way. It was just that we were lucky that Seamus Coleman, had a bit of intuition and had a go from a tight angle, and that Leeds' goalkeeper was absolutely, shocking. We were lucky against Arsenal, but we were lucky that a corner come in and James Tarkowski got got on the end of it, and again Alan Ramsdale was poor. I said this multiple times last season, and I will say it again now. 3 teams get relegated, not 1. So we don't just have to look and go, oh, well, at least Bournemouth are shit, or at least Southampton are shit. 3 teams go down. Now, answer me this. Is there 3 teams in the Premier League at the moment that have got worse forward lines than Everton? There isn't. And I've seen a couple of people on Twitter saying, yeah, but, we dominated the game, and if Calvert-Lewin's fit today, then we win that game. But we're not talking about a Dominic Calvert-Lewin who's been fit and firing for the last 10 weeks and then has had the shits today or had an illness today and can't play, but he'll be back again next week. We're talking about the Dominic Calvert-Lewin who, let's be honest, we probably won't see again before the end of the season, and we haven't seen that all this season. So it's not a case of, yeah, well, if Dominic Calvert-Lewin was fit, we'd have won today. Dominic Calvert-Lewin isn't fit and is very unlikely to be fit ever again, given his trajectory of injuries over the last 24 months. So forget that if Dominic Calvert-Lewin's fit, he's not. And at the moment, he's not part of this Everton team. He's not part of this Everton squad, and he's not an option when you look at what we've got up front. It's worrying. It really, really is worrying. And as I said, for me, the most worrying thing was watching us go 1-0 down, and effectively every one of the players, you could literally see it on their faces. It was like, well, we're done here, aren't we? We're done for. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I can't sit here and blame Sean Dyche. I can't even really sit here and blame Dwight McNeil or Neil Maupay, because they're just not very good in front of goal. But we knew they weren't very good in front of goal in December. We knew they weren't very good in front of goal in October. We knew they weren't very good in front of goal, when we had this conversation 4 months ago, the same conversation we're having today. So I can't even blame them. Yeah, they frustrate me, and I think as a professional footballer, Dwight McNeil shouldn't be absolutely terrified of the ball on his right foot. But I'm not sitting here frustrated and furious at them, because we know what they are. They're not good enough. They're simply not good enough. I blame Kevin Thelwell. I blame Bill Kenwright. I blame Denise Barrett-Baxendale. I blame Farhad Mashiri. I blame anybody on that recruitment team that failed to see what we've seen every week since August. If Everton are to go down this season, it's not the fault of Frank Lampard, it's not the fault of Sean Dyche, it's not the fault of Dwight McNeil, it's not the fault of Neil Maupay, it's not the fault of Jordan Pickford, it's the fault of those absolute spineless cowards at the top of this football club, and every single one of them needs bouncing out of that door, and that's why it's important that we protest before games, and that's why it's important that we stand up for what's right for this football club. Because the negligence to sit back in January and not bring in a forward, knowing full well that our forward line are petrified of scoring, you've given Sean Dyche an impossible job. Because what you've effectively said to Sean Dyche is turn these lads that are terrified to shoot and aren't very good at it into goal scorers. Pep Guardiola would have a difficult job doing that. And that's the expectation on Sean Dyche now. Yeah, look, as I said, I can't sit here and be massively fuming or massively annoyed or angry, because I expect this, and I expect it next week, by the way. If we again, Everton can win next week. I know we play on Wednesday, but I'm not even thinking about Wednesday. Everton can win next week. Everton can win on Wednesday if we defend brilliantly and we score from a corner. Yeah. it's it's worrying. And Carl says McNeil shouldn't have started. Maupay shouldn't have started. McNeil's crosses were for Sims. DCL would have been better. DCL would have been better, but forget Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Forget him. Forget he even exists. Forget him. Because the fact that we even think, well, Dom would have done all right, forget it. And Sims, yeah, look, maybe he would have gone on the head of one of them, but not, there's nothing to say that one of those headers would have gone into the back of the net. He's a kid. Well, he's not a kid. He's 22 years old, but he's a kid in terms of, his little Premier League experience. And we can't sit here and go, let's put our whole season on a kid that's played about 4 minutes of Premier League football ever in his career. It's negligent. It's absolute negligence. And I will tell you now for a matter of a fact, in any other business in this world, even a takeaway gaff down your local pub, by your local pub or Apple, any other business, if members of a team had failed as badly as those board members of Everton have failed, their desks would be packed, they would be bounced out the door, and they would be laughed out the door instantly. It's negligence at the highest level, and it's putting the manager and everyone else in a position where, if we survive this season, for me now, it will be based on luck more than anything. And how poor is that? Anyway, we're going to leave it there. If you have enjoyed, leave a like. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe. Massive thanks to Cal, by the way, for doing the preview yesterday. I was a little bit busy yesterday, so I couldn't do it. So massive thanks to Callum for doing that. Player ratings will be up shortly as well, so look out for those. But until then, big thank you all for watching. Leave a like if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you later.